Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Kendrick Shope Show, the behind the scenes or behind closed doors of what it really takes to make a million and beyond in your business. Today, it is my pleasure to be joined by the one and only Drema Dial from France, my favorite country in the world besides the United States. So I'm like two birds with one stone. It's amazing. Uh, Drema is one of my favorite people that I have met in the last year. She brings to the table massive intelligence. She lives her brand. I have seen very few people live the brand as well as Drema does. And she's going to talk to us today about how you can make anything you want come true, that anything is a possibility. And I know we hear this a lot in the online industry, but Drema's background is very strategy based. She was a psychologist, correct? Drema, am I saying that right? Psychologist, yeah. So she has the clinical background to support everything that she is going to share with us today. So let's jump in. Welcome, bonjour.
Bonjour, Kendrick. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So first and foremost, Drema, tell us where you are in France.
I am in Provence, the south of France. I live in this lovely little town called the Aix-en-Provence. It's about 150,000 people, and I love it here. I love it so much. Every day is just a joy to go out and walk around, go to the market, buy bread, stop at a cafe. I just love it. I could go on and on, but I'll just tell you I love it.
And so I haven't been to France since I was 12, and I'm 39 now, so my memories are very skewed. But one of the things I remember about the south of France is flowers. Are there flowers everywhere? Or
flowers everywhere. Right now, of course, with spring coming, it's just like this rolling beauty everywhere. And the culmination is in June, where the lavender blooms everywhere. Last year we went, and the scent of lavender is just, it's just so heady. You just stand in the field and you're like, I think I'm in heaven. This must be what heaven is like.
Yeah. I always, I have people talk about something that I did not know of until recently, but they talk about food porn on Pinterest. And I'm like, wait, what? I need to think about that. I realized I have flower porn on Pinterest. So I have all these houses with these beautiful flower gardens. And I always say to Blake, I want to do this, but we haven't lived in one spot long enough to do that. So I'm looking forward to, I have a black thumb, but I'll learn. I'm looking forward to having a backyard that I can make into the south of France with beautiful, colorful flowers. Blake tries when we move, but it takes years to do something like that, to really,
And I have a black thumb, so I am so appreciative that I can go out and enjoy other people's green thumbs and just be the appreciator of other people's beauty. I love it.
Yeah. I love it. Beauty everywhere, and especially in the south of France. So, I'm gonna touch more on France because I just have to. So sorry, but I love it. So let's talk a little bit about what you do. Tell our audience what you do, Drema. What's your business?
I am a transformational life coach. I help people connect their head and their heart, which usually means the people I generally work with are people who have been very successful. So they're very good at what they do, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're happy. And so a lot of times where we start is looking at what are the feelings behind it, because they may have this really great life on the surface. And so they feel kind of guilty because they don't really feel that happy. And so we look at some of the underlying things and get to the root of what's not making them happy. And sometimes it's a small tweak. Sometimes it's a big tweak, but it's really about reconnecting their heart to their life. And I think that's such an important piece.
Yeah, I do too. Dream is one of those people that I wish I had known when. Like, as I hear her talk about the things that she's able to do with her clients and her customers, I think, gosh, if I had only known her, 6, 7 years ago, or even 10 years ago, things would have been much easier for me. Of course, you can't go back, and I don't want to change the path, but wow, if I could, I think about how many nights I went to bed just feeling guilty and all of those things that you talked about. I have a question, Drema, about the separation of head and heart.
Okay.
Are we conscious that that happens? Is that something that we do consciously? Does it happen unconsciously? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's an unconscious process because initially when you get into whatever it is you're doing, there's some excitement and there's some enjoyment. But slowly it sort of leaks out, but we don't want to admit that to ourselves. And so we sort of keep this defense up that says, no, things are good. Things are good. Tomorrow will be better.
Yeah.
One day it'll be better. Maybe I'll feel better. And so this separation starts occurring until one day it just feels like you don't have an emotional life anymore. You just feel sort of numb or ashamed, or you wake up and think, this can't be normal. I'm not a normal person. What's wrong with me? I have so much.
Yeah. I used to call it, once I was able to talk about it, and I wasn't able to articulate it for a long time, I guess until I started going through life coach training. But I used to say, I'm emotionally bankrupt. I am so void of whatever I used to have. I don't know where it went. And that's a hard thing to deal with, to look at who you used to be and wonder what happened, you know?
Well, it's a really sad thing. And it's one of those things that if you wake up with that feeling every morning, you're sort of left in this zombie-like state, right?
Yeah.
Where your emotional range has gotten smaller and smaller, so you kind of enjoy things and you kind of don't, but you're like, well, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Over and over.
I think one of the things I think that Drema does is I used to, and y'all have heard me joke about this, but I used to reach out to Oprah all the time. Oprah, because Oprah always talks about living your best life. You know, that's sort of her tagline, or if you will. I'm sure she has lots. But I auditioned for everything I possibly could via videotape on her show. And I feel like I needed to know, what I was searching for was the how. Yeah. I knew that I believed that living my best life was possible. And I knew that I wanted more, even though I was a little bit ashamed of admitting that, because I had it very, very well, comparatively speaking. So, but it was the how to make it happen where I got lost. And I for some reason, I felt like Oprah had the answers because she had done it for herself. She was like my savior. But I feel like that's what Drema connects for you, for her customers, is the how. It's the, you wake up feeling this way, right? And you're maybe a little bit ashamed or guilty, but something really, if you're honest, is not right. And you believe that something else is possible, or you hope that something else is possible, but the steps in between, I mean, I just hadn't, yeah. So I feel like Drema does Oprah's work, if you will. She connects people on how to live their best life. And I think that is just one of the most beautiful things in the world. So talk to me about, we get this disconnect from head and heart, and then what happens? Why are we, if we don't know, we aren't aware that the disconnect has happened, and then where does the realization kick in? When do people actually decide that they're willing to make a change?
You know, I think it's when they reach that point of waking up in the morning and thinking, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore, but I don't know what's next.
Yeah.
So I usually get people coming to me who are like, okay, I don't know what to do next, but I can't keep doing what I'm doing. And the beauty of the brain is how plastic it is and how we can change our ways of thinking. And, you know, that's where my background as a psychologist comes in so handy, is being able to use these research-based strategies. And so one of the things that I know is we start looking for patterns. Our brain loves patterns. And so with those patterns, if I'm unhappy, then every day I'm looking for all of the little things that make me unhappy. Okay? And so what I do is I help your brain make new neural pathways by helping it look for things that work. And this is the beauty. You know, it's like taking, you know, that bike path in the field, and you can go, it's so easy. Everybody takes that bike path. That's like our brain. Every day we get up and we go a particular way. It's easy. But we start working and saying, what's the choice point? Instead of going to the left on the well-worn back path, why don't you take a veer and go over to the other way? It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be hard. There are going to be weeds in your way. But once you start doing that repeatedly, you wear your own path and create a new neural pathway to joy, to positivity, to feeling confident about what you're doing. And that's why I love doing this work, is seeing people go, oh my God, yesterday I realized I was going to go down the old path. And then I said, no, I don't have to. The awareness of choice is such a beautiful moment for people. That
Yeah.
having that choice the same way.
I love it. I love how visual that is too, the bike path, because sometimes I feel like talking about things like mindset and the things going on in your brain feel very out there, especially for people who are very literal, and I'm literal. And the only reason I understand it is because I have life coach training, but I don't understand it near as well as I should, but it at least makes a little bit of sense to me. So the bike path makes it very visual.
Yeah.
I get that. So let's talk about, I'm always fascinated when we start talking about these pathways in your brain, because I had a doctor say to me one time, Kendrick, your drug is a new drug. Yes, I believe in the science, but I have been writing this old generic drug for whatever the disease state was for 20 years. When I see somebody with whatever, it's the first thing I think of.
Yep.
And so it's habit, right? I assume that's a pathway in his brain. If X, then Y, that's standard of care. And so we had to create a new habit for the right patient. But that's hard. Like you said, it's bumpy. But how do you keep people on the new pathway? Because what I do oftentimes is I start and then I go right back to where I was. So how do you do that? Okay, it's not just me.
It's not just you. It's all of us.
Okay, great. So what do we do?
We develop the awareness of our choice point.
Okay.
That choice point. And that's the thing that most people are not aware of. You know, if you think about it, between now and the time you and I talk, you have made probably, let's say 2,000 different choices, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is a choice, but we don't think about it because it becomes automatic and our brain likes it easy. Our brains are actually fairly lazy. So if we can find an easy way, we do it. So we develop the awareness of the choice point, and then we anticipate your obstacles. There will always be obstacles, no matter what it is you're trying to change, and no matter how badly you want to change it. So we just anticipate that if I'm going to start going to the gym, for example, that I'm going to forget my gym clothes, my membership card, I'm going to be too tired, and so we anticipate. All right, you want to do it in the morning? Let's lay your clothes out in the morning. One less thing to think about, right?
Got it.
Or you're going to go after work. So I suggest that people put on their gym clothes at work. That way, you have less of a reason to drive home and bypass. And it's not even a conscious choice at that point, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm sitting in my gym clothes in traffic, I'm like, oh, I was going to go to the gym. I guess I'm going to go to the gym in order to go on automatic.
Oh, yep. Hang on for just a second. Sarah? All right, I'm going to hey, Sarah? Let me get Becky. Let me. All right, I'm going to. Drema, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do it like that and have Becky call her. Hang on.
Oh, she's gone.
Oh, she is?
Mm-hmm. She is on my screen.
Yeah, I hid it. I hid because it was non-video participants, I think. Oh, wait. Yeah, she's gone. It's just us now. Okay, never mind. Okay, so we'll have Erica cut that out.
Okay.
Obviously. So, okay. So the gym. So Drema, I love this. So it sounds like one of the things you do, and I didn't really learn about this until I had Hallianna, but is setting yourself up for success as best you can, right? Sometimes I tell Blake, I feel like if we do that, we're kind of setting her up for failure. Like, how can we flip the switch and set her up for success? And so by putting your gym clothes on, you're one step further.
Right. By anticipating what you do instead of.
Yeah. So the reason I got so tickled with that was I can remember putting my gym clothes on, going to the gym with Blake, my husband, because I wouldn't go by myself. So he was going to go and be my accountability partner. And we got to the gym and I'm like, I'm so tired. You just go in and I'll sleep in the car. And we got this huge argument because I had asked him to hold me accountable. And finally he ends up going in and I slept in the car. Isn't that awful? Oh my gosh, that was wonderful. Yeah, that's me. Had the gym clothes on. They were probably new. I probably thought I just need new gym clothes. Had an accountability buddy. But anyway, I understand exactly what you're saying. So let's talk about your background a little bit, because your background is such a unique combination. It makes you, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but it makes you very much an authority on this subject compared to a lot of people who talk about mindset, because you have the education and the theories and the years of practice to support this as well. So tell me about your background. What's it in? Just tell us.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I came to psychology by way of fashion. I was working in fashion down in these high-end places down in San Francisco, and I absolutely loved it. But then one day I realized I was waiting on this woman, and she would come in regularly once a week. She would spend $1,000, $2,000, and then she'd leave. She would leave happy. She would come back in sad, and I was like, this is retail therapy, and this doesn't work. You know, once the price tags are gone, this woman is not happy. And that I'd always had an interest in people and what makes them tick. And I decided, all right, I'm going back to school. I had to fight against my own mindset about, years of not being supported around being intelligent or being smart. And, people were like, oh, you're going to do a doctoral program. And I'd be like, yes, I am. And so I went back to school. I was a single mom. I had two kids, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Wow.
But I also thought, you know what? They're young. They won't know that I'm a poor graduate student. So it worked. So I spent 7 years getting my doctorate and just really fell in love with everything about psychology and therapy and working with people. I went into teaching for a while and then decided that wasn't what I wanted. I really wanted one-on-one with people because I really wanted the deep transformation. And so I built up a private practice, and I absolutely loved it, But my partner and I started traveling, and, France, I went to college in France early on, and when we started traveling, we landed in France, and I was like, this feels like home to me. And so we decided, let's move to France. And I was like, how am I going to do that? And so we started exploring, and I thought, my skills are transferable. And not only that, if I leave psychology and become a coach, I can help more people. And I can do it in a way that's different and not within the confines of an office where people have to leave their work and drive to my office and then drive back to work and go across town in traffic. I can help people anywhere by becoming a coach and working online. And I can help more people because the constraints around time aren't the same.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing this and I love it. I work with people around the world, and it just fills my heart to get on the phone with somebody who is telling me, you know what, that worked. I put on my gym clothes and I didn't want to go, but I was like, I'm in my gym clothes. I may as well go.
Yeah.
Even if they only went for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes they slept in their car and didn't tell me, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Putting on gym clothes for me was just a win. I will say that. Like, if I'd had the foresight to know that was a huge win, because I was trying to force myself to do someone else's expectation, but that's another story for a different time. So, talk to me about you referenced and I should have introduced you as Dr. Drema Dial. So my apologies. Yes, doctor, our first doctor on the show. I'm so excited. Talk to me a little bit about, you said that when you got into the doctorate program, first of all, 2 kids under the age of 5, holy cow, going back to school. I mean, that right there already says that you're an amazing person. Mm. But once you got in, and it sort of made you tick, right? You loved the information. You always had been sort of attracted to what makes people tick. What about it? What about psychology other than that? Like, was there this moment when you're sitting in class or you're learning something and you're like, oh, this is it? Or is it just all of it?
You know, it really, with the exception of statistics, it really did feel like all of it.
Yes.
Just because it explains so much of my world around me. It explained, right, you know, my background. It explained my culture. It explained my reactions to things in a way that finally made sense to me. Instead of making me feel like a crazy person, it made sense to me. I could finally go, oh, so that's why we act that way. That's how we can change these things. And really working around the basis of change, I think, was really powerful, because I don't think I understood before that change is really systematic and it has to be strategic. You can't just say to yourself, well, I'm going to change. It doesn't work like that. That becomes a setup for failure. And then once people experience failure, they don't want to get back up and try again. And so learning how to anticipate and work with people around their potential obstacles, I think, is so important for all of us. You know, we become successful because we can anticipate, I don't like to work early in the morning, therefore I'm going to schedule my schedule, skew it towards later in the day. That's a small tweak, but it's big if you're trying to force yourself to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when you're not a morning person.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think that some level of psychology should be required for everybody. I mean, it's the study. What is psychology? The study of human behavior? Is that?
The study of the psyche.
The study of the psyche. What does psyche mean?
It encompasses your emotions, your feelings, and the way you think of things.
Yeah, so why shouldn't we understand that? I mean, like, that should be, give me less math. I got a calculator. If I can plug that in, but I can't plug in. I feel like shit today. What do I do? And get an answer. So, yeah. But I digress. I don't want to deal with educational policy. So let's talk about France, because I think that France and your love of the je ne sais quoi, if you will, of the French culture ties into your work so much. It ties into who you are at your core. So tell me what it is. What is it about that just tell us about, just tell us about that.
You know, the French have a saying, savoir faire, and it means knowing how to. And it's not just knowing how to do one thing. In the French culture, it's sort of the embodiment of a person who could be confident in any situation. So it's not that I necessarily know everything about every situation. None of us do. But the French have this wonderful air of being able to go into any situation and feel prepared, and they make you feel challenged, but they're okay with it. So I love that aspect of the French attitude, the French mindset, if you will. But what I also love here is that people really work to live. They don't live to work. They really work so that they can live. So here I am in the south of France, and places still closed for 2 hours for lunch. Oh my God,
Yeah.
On Sundays, the whole day on Sunday is devoted to lunch. And so every Sunday I'm out for a 4-hour lunch, and I love it. I love it. There's this whole idea about really being present with who you are and what you are, and not pretending to be other than what you are. And so the whole thing just sort of resonates with, I think, my lifelong philosophy of just be mindful of where you are and be present. Yeah. Because if you can't change it, then you should be working on enjoying it. And
absolutely.
Some people don't.
Oh, yeah. I've been that person before. I think one of the things that is fascinating to me, and you absolutely touched on this, is one, the confidence that the French have. And we're going to talk a little bit about confidence, because that is directly related to your work. But also I feel like their unwillingness to give away their time. So they still close 2 hours for lunch. And it's one of those things that I've just recently learned it's kind of like your taxes or your 401k. If you take it out off the top, you don't miss it. You know, like I have no idea how much is going into my 401k, or I probably should, but I don't miss it. I don't think, oh, wish I had that back. I don't even think about it. And if you just schedule some of that stuff in, you don't miss your time either. You are so thankful for doing that. But I feel like, at least for me, I have to sit down and make myself schedule it in, because my mind that pathway isn't programmed yet. I have to think about it.
Well, and I'll tell you, when I first moved here, I was very much in an American mindset. You know, when you go to dinner here, you have the table for the evening.
Yeah.
They're not waiting to rush you out. And so we would have our meal, it would be long and leisurely, and then we'd be like tapping our fingers going, are they ever going to bring the check? And then one day we went, wow, we're really American, aren't we? Yeah. And so now when we have visitors from America, we're sitting, we enjoy our lovely dinner, and then they start tapping their fingers. Do they ever bring the check around here? Yeah. Totally different mindset. You know? It's like, where else do you have to be? No place really. I can be here now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like you have to learn to do that. And my girlfriend Tanya talks about having these 4 and 5 hour dinners. And I literally scratch my head like, what the hell would I do for 4 or 5 hours at a dinner table? And I get just spending time together, right? Like, I finally, oh, well, okay, yeah, I could do that. But I also kind of want to come back on and put on my comfy clothes and get on the couch and spend time together. Like, let's go back and have a nightcap and do that or something. But yeah. So let's talk about confidence, because Drema and I were talking the other day, and for me, I had one of the biggest light bulb moments of my life, which was this. We talked about mindset, and people in the online world are going to understand this, but the limiting beliefs that people have. I'm not good enough. It may work for A, B, and C, but it won't work for me. Just all kinds of things that people tell themselves when they're starting a business. And Drema pointed out that that's really about confidence. And I remember thinking, confidence? I don't think it is. But as I heard Drema talk about this, I realized, oh my gosh, that's absolutely what it's about. So talk to me about this connection between mindset, limiting beliefs, all of these fears, and confidence. How are they related?
Well, mindset is, here's what I believe that I can achieve. Yeah. And if I have a mindset that I can achieve anything, then I am likely to be a confident person. But if I'm thinking, oh, I could, and then I stop and go, well, could I really? And then I go into my self-doubts, then I'm not a confident person in that arena. And people can have different areas of confidence. So you may be really confident, say, at your job. You may be really confident you're a great friend, but sometimes they don't overlap. And so confidence really comes from that core belief that I can do it. I may not know how, but I can get the tools, I can get the resources, and I can learn. A lack of confidence shows up when I'm thinking, my sister's always done that better than I have. I've never really gotten an A, so I'm not sure I can write a good paper. I did it last time, but it was only because the boss wasn't there to criticize me. Yeah. So all of those things become our self-limiting beliefs. They become the reason that we use to not do the things that we really want to do. The things sometimes that we really love, but we can't see ourselves doing it as a passion or in public. So I might paint in private, but I would never paint or put my painting up because I'm not an artist. That's what I've told myself, so I'm not an artist. That's a lack of confidence right there. It's when I put paint on that and I hang it up and I say, I love doing that. I love being a painter. That we're truly confident, right?
Yeah. This gives me chills. Again, it's a light bulb moment for me, because I am the person who says, oh, believe in yourself. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And now that you've opened this whole confidence door or brought confidence into this conversation, I realize new ways that I was limiting myself, and I didn't know I was limiting myself just by hearing that example. So what are the most, and I don't know if there are common ways that business owners, people trying to start a business or running a business, limit themselves? Are they all over the place?
Well, let's see. You can start with, I don't really know how to do that. I don't know if this is good enough. I need to research this more. Yeah. I need to put some more time in this. I need to take another course. Maybe I should wait and get some more coaching. Maybe I should wait. Maybe. That's where it always shows up, is that sort of unwillingness to put your foot down into the arena that commits you. That's the difference. It's before that foot hits the floor that people are like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what if, what if, what if? And then they pull their foot back.
Okay.
Just go, you know what? Yeah, maybe, but let's try it anyhow. I won't know unless I try.
Yeah.
When you start building your confidence.
One of the things that I have begun to tell people is when they say, maybe I should try another course, is to pause and say, let's look at this from a different angle. What is it about this that makes you want to buy it? Because there's a message there. There's a sales message. Is it the copy? Is it the this? Is it the what is it that makes you want to buy it? And how can you recreate that in your own business? Because if you know what makes you want to buy something, then you can recreate it. The other thing is, maybe I should take another course. Oh, here's the first one I see. I'll take it. Is I feel like blind action. The people I see that do this so much more effectively say, I am struggling with X and I want to get more confident with X. I'm going to take a class around nutrition. Does that make sense? Is that and so they may be aware that they're not confident with nutrition, but they know what to do about it. Am I thinking about that correctly?
That's an informed choice. That's saying,
okay,
I don't know enough about this. So therefore, if I learn more, I can make confident choices. It's when you're saying, oh my God, I should probably take another course because I don't know if I'm good enough.
Got it.
And those are the courses that people sign up for, they pay for it, and then your brain says, hey, good job, you just signed up for that course, and it goes, check.
Yeah, I just read something that you wrote recently about this. It was mind-boggling to me that this happens. You sign up for a course and your brain goes, check, and then what happens? You say, yeah. Yeah, because your mind's already said you've done it, right? Like, it's like, okay, yeah. Fascinating to me. So fascinating.
Well, it's also the reason that research has shown that if you decide that you are going to say, you're going to run a marathon, don't put it on social media. If you put it on social media, what happens is that people come on and they're like, oh, that's so great. That's so fantastic. I'm so proud of you. And your brain goes, check.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's no accountability. Your brain gets that endorphin rush of seeing people congratulating you, and it goes, man, I am good. Check.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Let's talk about this. So this is something that I haven't ever talked to you about, but you just sort of triggered a thought. So let's talk about this man, I am good feeling that the endorphins trigger, not in a bad way, but in a good way. The praise or the, I don't know what do you call that? Just the
validation.
Yeah, validation. So how do you know when validation is healthy validation and then when it becomes unhealthy validation? Is there a way to tell?
Yeah, here's the way you tell. Here is my external validation. Here's people saying, good for you. You did it. Proud of you. Here's my validation. If these aren't balanced, no bueno.
Got it.
What happens is most people are like this. They really want the external validation and they don't give themselves the internal validation. And so you get completely out of whack because people are telling you, oh my God, that was great. You did a great presentation. But if I'm not telling myself, if I don't believe that, I start feeling like an imposter because I didn't believe it. So people say that was a great presentation. And I'm thinking, you didn't see all the mistakes I made. You didn't see how that one slide had a typo. And so validation doesn't stick. If I feel like I did a great job, then somebody says, hey, great job. I think, yeah, that was a great job. Thank you. I did a great job.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. I think that this is one of the places people get hung up when starting a business too. And there are all different places you can get hung up. Like maybe you're used to, you get a lot of validation and then it goes away and you're like, oh, my whole business is falling apart. Or you're searching for that initially and people don't know, you haven't had enough contact. It just seems to me to be a vicious cycle that people can get caught up in. My validation has been like this before too. I totally get that. So Drema, two things. We do, but if there were business owners standing in front of us right now And you said, I can give you one piece of advice and one piece of advice only around confidence, mindset, growing your business, whatever. What would that be?
Take care of yourself. And here's why. When you take care of yourself, you send yourself a message of self-worth, because we take care of things that we value, right?
Yes.
You value your daughter, you value your husband, you take care of them. When we take care of ourselves, we send that same message of value. I value myself enough to slow down, give myself a break, feed myself well, sleep well. I value myself. I am a person who deserves good things. From that, the rest of it flows. And that's the biggest problem that I run into with people.
All right, so I have a follow-up question to that. So when we are pushing, and not doing that, it sounds to me like that's an indicator that there's some sort of self-worth, something going on there. Is that fair?
It really is, because if you're pushing, chances are you really have one foot in your business and one foot out, and then you begin to sort of not really do your best job.
Okay.
And you feel a little equal and a little bit guilty because you're not doing your best foot. And so you're not doing yourself any favors by pushing all of the time. Sometimes we have to push to get through something. That's fine. But I'm talking about that day-to-day push, never coming up for air. That's bad. That's just a bad way to run a business.
And so people who are doing that, because I've been that person, I see that. I struggle with this. This pathway is not formed yet in my brain either, but I'm working on it. What's the first step, Drema? How do people begin to not conduct themselves in that way?
I always suggest that people start out slow. I mean, I know that it's hard to make changes, and I know it's hard for people who aren't accustomed to taking care of themselves to give them over to self-care. So I suggest scheduling in just one thing a week that you do simply for pleasure.
Yeah.
Whether it's sit down and read a book, go lay out in your garden, whatever it is, just one thing. And then the rest of it we start working on. So, I'm not going to challenge you to change your schedule overnight and become a spa queen. Sounds nice, but
that sounds awesome. Yeah, I did this yesterday. So in my group, I posted on, I think Friday, what's one thing this weekend you're going to do for yourself? And I said I was going to read a book. And my daughter's been sick. She's had the flu. She's home again today. But I started a book, and I stayed in bed all day. I didn't get it. I took a shower and put my pajamas back on. At 3 p.m., I looked at the clock and was like, the windows are up. It's 60 degrees. I should be outside. Nope, I am right where I need to be. I am in the bed. Hallianna was with her dad. I had been up night after night, and I was like, this is the way to make the best of the flu, right? Just to get a little bit of different distance. I read my whole book. I'm halfway through another one. It was fantastic.
Oh, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to allow yourself those moments when they come, take them. Just take them. That's going to be the difference for you working this week versus other weeks when you've not given yourself a break.
Yeah. And I always feel like the giving the break, or I used to feel like it had to be some grandiose thing, like go to the spa for a day or whatever. And I've realized that when I get really, really tense and really then that push, I've started to ask myself, when's the last time you read a book? And I haven't made time to, and I love it. That's my escape. And I think, I'm not even making time to read a book or listen. I listen. I don't even use my eyes. I just listen. And that's always an indicator for me. If it has been more than a couple of days and I have been listening to a book, and I think when I asked myself this last time, it'd been like 3 weeks since I'd read anything. And I thought, that's why you're pushing. Stop. Right. So that's why it was so great for me. Blake was like, are you going to get dressed? I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, but I might need you to go out and pick up food. And I said, no, we can eat what we have in this house. No. So last question, Drema. I love your work. I'm so inspired by your work. I have so many more questions that I want to ask you, but it sounds to me, let me say this first. It sounds to me like if you are that person who's push, you said start slow, and then some accountability is probably a good idea, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
to have a business buddy or a friend that you can say, okay, I have scheduled myself for 2 hours just to sit down. I don't know what I'm going to do. It might be read a book. It might be take a nap. I'm not sure, but could you ask me about it? That's a way to keep it uppermost in your mind and remind yourself, I'm making a choice. So that
Right.
when your schedule comes up and you're like, oh, 2 hours from, 3 to 5, you can be like, okay, that awareness of the choice is the first time that you start taking your bike off the beaten path and creating a new pathway for yourself.
Great.
I highly recommend it.
That's one of the things that I want to do when you are our expert in the K community. I'm going to challenge everybody to do that and post what they do during that week. One thing, and to tag you and say, this is what I'm doing. And then let's celebrate that. We celebrate people's business wins all the time.
Right.
Let's celebrate that, you know what, I was able to slow down and enjoy this beautiful day or stay in bed all day. I text messaged Tanya and my girlfriend, and I'm like, it's 3 o'clock and I'm in bed and I am so proud of myself. And she was like, I'm so proud of you too. Who is this? Has somebody hijacked Kendrick's phone? Last question. If my daughter or your child at 7 years old was standing in front of us and you could give them one piece of advice, what would you tell them about life in general? Not about running a business, but just one.
I would say take the time to notice what you enjoy. Because when you stop to notice what you enjoy, not only are you helping your brain form a neural pathway that says, oh, this is the joy pathway, you're also saying it's important to be present.
Yeah.
And that applies to so much, whether you're sitting with a box of crayons, whether you're sitting in front of your computer writing up sales copy, you can be where you are and you can still find enjoyment. And isn't that what life is supposed to be about?
I love it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. That's something that I am continuing to work on. Maybe the reason I love your work so much is because it's stuff that I struggle with and I'm working on. And every time I hear you speak, I learn so much from you. So thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to have Nina shared. And I'm probably going to ask you to come back on this. We're going to shoot some of these live and in person. So maybe when I come to France, we could shoot a live version. I'm coming in the fall. That'd be awesome, right? Yeah, I could go to Provence. I could go down to the south of France. Oh, that needs to be our signature episode. Wheels turning. I mean, bam, bam, bam. Like, breathe, Kendrick. Okay, good deal. Thank you so much, Drema, for being here from the beautiful south of France. Thank you for your insight and your wisdom. And I'll sign off the way I always do. I believe in you and I believe in your business. You can do this.
Thank you.